Hi, today in this video we'll cover something called mesh. Mesh has two approach. In this video we'll cover the format approach. So what's format approach and why we use it and how to use it. First, why we use it. We use it when we cannot solve a problem, electrical engineer problem, and discover some element in this diagram by using series solving or parallel solving or series parallel solving. So this our circuits got two loops, this one loop, this the another loop. We'll call this one loop 1, we'll call this one loop 2. Okay. If you want to be good in mesh, you have to remember those things. First, you use it whenever you couldn't use any other approach. Second, you need to know how to do for each circuit the KVL. Then you have to know how many loops in the circuits that you have. Also, you should know that I in loop 1, for example, let's call this one loop 1 and this one loop 2. I1, the current that you are assuming here, should be always in positive when you are going to solve it by the equation. I2 in loop 2 also will take positive. So when you go solving using loop 2, I2 that you are assuming got a positive sign. I2 in loop 1. So if this one I1, what is I2? I2 is going here because it's common between loop 2 and loop 1. So here we got I1 and I2, while here we got I1. This one got I2. So also we can assuming number, let's say 4 or 5, let's say. I1 is I1 in loop 2. So I1, whenever this I1 in loop 2, take negative sign. Okay, now let's go and use KVL like we mentioned before in loop 1. So this is loop 1, okay? Loop 1, we got I1. So I1 going through R4, R1, R2. R4 is 12 ohm, R1 6 ohm, R2 11 ohm, 12 ohm, sorry. Okay, so I1 going through R1, R2, R3. So I1 multiplied by you'll use the parentheses here, then you will add R1, R2, R3. Now we're still solving in loop 1, so I2 which is going here will take minus, like we mentioned here, or negative sign. So minus I1 multiply how many resistance is going through? Is going through only R4. This in loop 1. So still we are solving in loop 1. Keep this one in your mind. So I1 multiplied by R4. Now in loop 1 we got two sources, E1 12 ohm, 20 ohm, E2 10 ohm. Okay, because we are assuming in the like KVL, if you go to the KVL, whatever it's clockwise, it will take positive. This is for a source. Whenever it's counterclockwise, it will take negative. So all this equation will equal E1 here minus E2. E1 is with the clockwise, E2 is opposite clockwise. So after putting all the numbers from the diagram to this equation, we'll get something like this. 30 multiplied by I1 minus 12 multiplied by I2 equal 10. Okay, so this is the conclusion of the equation for loop 1. Now let's go to loop 2. Loop 2 is this one from here, and it will cover all this one here. So in loop 2 we got I2, and I2 in loop 2 it is positive. Okay, so now how many resistance is covering I2. It's going through all this one, so it's covering R5, R6, R4. So I2 will multiply R4 plus I5, R5 plus R6. Now, what about I1? Because this one is common between loop 2 and loop 1. So I1 is here, from this point to this point. Okay? Now, because I1 is, now it's going to solve loop 2. So I1 is in minus. So it will be minus I1. And how many resistance is covering? It's covering only R4. For example, if there is like another resistance here, it will be minus I1 multiply R, between the parentheses you will put R4 plus whatever resistance it's here or here or here, but it should be from this point to this point, if there is any. But there is no any other resistance, so I minus I1 multiplied by R4. Okay, all this will equal, then we'll see the sources. So E1 or E2, let's say here, 10 volts. E3 is 12 volts. E6 is 6. E4 is 6 volts. All of them is clockwise. See, this one is clockwise. This one clockwise. Why it's clockwise? Because it's positive in the right side, negative in left side. So the current is going this way, the same direction of I2 that we assumed already. Okay. So all of them will take plus or positive. So E1 plus E2 plus E3 will be in the other side of the equation. So we have this one side and this one the other side. See, this is equal. Now let's use all the numbers here, and we will get minus I1 minus 12 multiplied by I1 plus 44 I2 equal 28. This is the equation number 2. This is for loop 2. Equation 1 for loop 1. Okay, so now we got 6 numbers: 30, minus 12, 10, and here we got minus 12, 44, 28. Okay, to find the values of I1 and I2, we got 2 equations. And because we are getting 2 equations, we will going to use matrices or matrix. I don't know, the same name, but the same things but different names. So I1 is equal, because you are trying to find I1, now you will use 10 and 20 and put them instead of 30 and 28 instead of minus 12 or negative 12. Okay, so 10 is here, from here, 28 is here. Now this side we'll take it from here, from I2, because we are finding I1, so we will use I2. Okay, now all these 4 numbers will take 10 multiplied by 44, 28 multiplied by minus 12, and then we'll minus each other. Okay, then all this divided by, you see, now we are taking the 4 numbers here, because we are dividing all this for this one. So this 30 will be here, minus 12 here, minus 12 will be here, 44 will be here. Now 10 multiplied by 44 will get 440, minus 28 multiplied by minus 12 will get 336 in minus. But this one should be in positive, because we got 2 minus. The first minus is for the matrix, second minus because of the multiplication between 28 and 12. Okay, the same here. 30 multiplied by 44 will get 1320, minus, then minus 12 multiplied by minus 12 will get 144. Okay, now we'll get some number here, whatever is the number. Okay, now for I2 we'll use the same thing here down. You see here down I'm using the same numbers, whatever the number is we'll get from here or from here, between 2 these numbers. We'll use this number to put it here, and instead of putting the 10 instead of the 30 like we did here, and 28 instead of minus 12, we'll put the 10 instead of the minus 12, and 28 instead of 44. See the 10 here this time, and 28 will be here. So 30 multiplied by 28, it will be 840, minus 12 multiplied by 10, so it will be minus 120, and there is another minus already. Okay, and this number we got it from here and we got it from here, so all this divided by this number, or subtract between this number and this one only. Okay, so you'll take the result here and use it here again. Now we've got I2 and you got the I1. Both of them is in ampere. Okay, so what's the question? Sometimes he will ask you what's the voltage for VR2. So first you will see R2 doesn't have I2, right? We said I2 is only going here and here. So R2 got I1. Wherever you get I1, let's say 3 ampere. So now we'll take 3 ampere multiplied by 12. Then you will get in volts. So VR2 equal 3 multiplied by 12 ohm. This is the number will be in voltage. Okay. For example, if he asks about R4, VR4, the voltage for R4. So now in this case, because it's common, see between this point and this one, we've got I1 and I2, right? Because it's between loop 1 and loop 2. Now you will go to R4, or you will get VR4 got 2 values. You will take I1 minus I2 multiplied by R4, so it will be, let's say if this is 3, let's say, and this is 4, we'll say 3 minus 4, it will be minus 1 multiplied by 12 ohm, it will get minus 12 ohm. So it's opposite the direction that you are assuming. For example, if you are starting from up to down, now the voltage positive side is down to up, whatever. Okay, and it's the same here. Just don't forget, like whenever you see like minus 3, if you solve for I1, let's say, and you find like minus 3, so I1 is not like clockwise, it's counterclockwise in this case. Okay, and if it's counterclockwise, let's say here counterclockwise for I1 and clockwise here, so both of them is going up, so both of them is going in the same direction. So instead of subtracting from each other between I1 and I2, you will add I1 and I2, then you will multiply by let's say 12 ohm to find VR4. Okay, any question you can put it in the comments, and it's more than welcome.